Engineer Segun Sun-Basorun. Segun Bash is an innovator with over 2 decades of experience at the intersection of technology and business. He is the CEO of Compound AI and founder OrbitKids.ai, where he is building a safer AI tutor designed specifically for children, because he believes that our children deserve better than what the algorithm has on offer. He holds advanced academic credentials in software management, engineering, and AI from Carnegie Mellon University, Bradley University, and MIT. Segun is also the convener of HelpMeVote.ng, a non-profit civic tech initiative focused on reducing voter apathy through digital tools. He is known for his customer-first, innovation-driven approach and his commitment to advancing African-led technology solutions globally.
Hi, friends. I am so excited to be here today. So excited. My name is Segun Sun-Basorun, but everyone calls me Bash. That's what I'm called in the workplace, where I've spent the last 20 years or so building the technologies that we're about to talk about today. So without further ado, let's get started. My goal for the day is to give you key insights, things that are happening behind the scenes as these technologies are being built, to give you an understanding of how they work and empower you to take full advantage of them. So let's get started. First of all, we're going to take a walk down memory lane to give ourselves some perspective on what we're about to discuss. Everything feels so new with technology, but is it really new, or has this all happened before, and can we learn from the past? The second thing we're going to do is I will break things down in plain English, no engineering degrees required, don't worry, and break things down in plain English about how these platforms function so that you can see key ways to take advantage of them to propel the gospel of Christ to your children and your audience. And the third thing is I will give you practical things you can start doing from tomorrow that prepare you and excite you for the rest of the wonderful sessions that are coming on about AI and social media and all those things that will keep you safe and ease your fears and worries about using these tools. So, first point, let's play a small game. The cartoon you see on the screen right now is the cover of a magazine from New York in 1889. And the title was The Unrestrained Demon. Can anyone guess, right? I just want to see you in the chat, what they were scared about. That we have one answer. Any other takers? Any other takers? Is Emmanuel correct? Emmanuel, prize goes to you. In 1889, there were severe arguments about whether electricity was good. Some people thought it was demon-possessed, right? That's about 140 years ago. So think about your grandfather's grandfather's grandfather. And they were thinking that, is it safe to actually plug this thing into every house? So the electricity that you're using to watch this session right now, people were terrified of it. Terrified of it, right? So that image on the right side was the cover of the magazine as they tried to push this agenda that the technology was not safe. Are we not seeing that happen right now in our lives and in our world? Are we not experiencing that now, especially as far as AI is concerned? Everybody is terrified of artificial intelligence, terrified when it comes to what it's going to do to the world, to the professional workplace. Before we even start speaking about how to use it in our gospel and our ministry work, and how to use it with children, which is the work I'm currently focused on at Orbit, people are scared. But brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you or to remind you that God has not given us a spirit of fear. That is not what we were given. We have power, we have authority, and we have to face these fears. So today, I will show you how to do that safely. If you need a little bit more convincing about why it's so important for us to use these digital tools, let's take a look at the statistics. Right now, the average person spends almost 80% of their day looking at a screen of some sort. If it is not your phone screen, it is the television screen. If it is not the television screen, it is the laptop screen or the system screen. We're looking at technology for 80% of our day. And so are our kids. So if we are not capturing their attention in that place where they're spending 80% of our day, can we really say we have done everything that God and Jesus have challenged us to do when it comes to taking the gospel to the ends of the earth? Let's remember that this is not by our power, it's not by our might, but we're empowered by the Holy Spirit to do this work. So Instagram should be afraid of us, not the other way around. All the platforms, we are capable and we can handle them. So how do these platforms actually work? Right. Let's start with the most popular one that everyone is talking about now, artificial intelligence, which happens to be my specialty. The first thing to know about artificial intelligence is that it is not magic. It is not alive. It does not have feelings. It is simple mathematics at work. If anyone remembers probability and statistics in school, I know some people are having horror flashbacks. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. We're not going through that, those details. But that is what powers artificial intelligence. It is a probability equation. What probability is the computer solving? It is solving the probability of what word comes next, typically in this scenario. So for instance, if I walk into a room and you hear me say, hello, how? Most people around know that the next word might be, are you? The computer is doing just that same mathematics, that same probability. So it's nothing fancy. It doesn't have emotions, it doesn't have feelings. It is just responding to what they call a next word prediction algorithm. But there are things we need to be very, very, very careful of when it comes to artificial intelligence. And the first one I want to discuss is called sycophancy. So a sycophant is someone that always says yes to whatever you say. Oh, I want to go and build a house on the moon. Yes. Oh, I want to sell all my belongings and start a business to polish stones. Yes. We talk about them a lot when it comes to king's courts and politics and things like that. But right now, everybody has their own personal sycophant in their pockets if they are not careful. So different AI platforms have different levels of sycophancy. That's agreeability with you. So they will say yes to almost anything you say. Some are more restrained, like Claude, right? Claude might push back and say, I don't know if that's a good idea. But ChatGPT will be very excited to support anything you say. This is just how they were programmed, because us as technologists, we want people to like our products. So some developers of artificial intelligence technology have decided that the way to get people to like their product the most is for the product to always agree with you. And like you can probably relate to, if you have a friend that is always agreeing with you or is always disagreeing with you, you might fight often. But in this case, it is a machine that is always agreeing with you. So it's very easy to fall into what is currently being called AI psychosis. But we don't have to be afraid of that if we have learned this information and we understand how this system works. But that's my point about we call them hallucinations in the development of AI. So say that's when AI will convincingly make up something, say it with full confidence, but it's not real, like a quote or a verse, but it's not real. So we have to be cognizant of that. Once you have learned that these are common pitfalls and you embrace them, you have nothing to fear. So very quickly, I'll move on to social media. The question I will ask for social media is, what is doom scrolling? If anybody knows, just type in the chat, what is doom scrolling? Have you heard of doom scrolling before? Once I describe it, we'll realize that all of us, 99% of the people on this Zoom, in this conference, doom scroll maybe every day. So it's when you open one of those, your favorite app, like Instagram, like YouTube, and before you know it, 30 minutes has passed, 2 hours has passed. You're scrolling endlessly, right? And these platforms have been designed to give you that endless scroll where you have what we call a variable reward that will release dopamine in your brain to keep you happy when you find something you're interested in, right? So that's why you keep scrolling. But if you are aware that this is what is happening and you put some restrictions around it, you have the opportunity to fight back against this type of programming, right? So we have to be conscientious users of this technology as opposed to just doing it mindlessly, right? So I love that so many people know what scrolling endlessly is, and I'm sure that none of us have done it within the last 48 hours. But here's the deal. There are tools that you can put on your phone to help you manage that. So it doesn't have to be a struggle with willpower, and we'll talk about them soon. Right. The last thing we're going to talk about very quickly is gaming and what we call virtual currencies, loot boxes. This might be very new language for a lot of people in this chat, but if we talk to our kids, we will hear from them that these are very familiar mechanisms, very, very familiar mechanisms. So what are virtual currencies and loot boxes? When you play a game, usually very popular with kids right now are games like Roblox, Minecraft. When they play these games, there are little rewards they can earn in these games, right? At first, the rewards start off free. Fortnite, but if you want a nicer reward, you can pay real money to get these things. Call of Duty on our phones, some of us are aware of these apps. These mechanisms essentially condition the players to want to invest real money. So without discipline, without awareness, without for preparing the child before they get into these platforms, it's easy to get carried away because even some of us adults, we've spent money on mobile games just this week or just last month, right? And it's fine to do so. But when you do so beyond a particular point, there's a real worry. So as we talk more about some of these things in gaming. We can talk about some specifics. But now I want to dig deep into actual things you can do on each of these platforms. So on artificial intelligence platforms, or social media platforms, on game platforms, to keep yourself safe and keep yourself focused on what you are trying to achieve. So the first thing we'll talk about again is artificial intelligence. We're going to have such a wonderful session in this conference on artificial intelligence. I'm so excited for everyone to experience it coming up. But I just want to even hype on it even more, in that this is the pivotal technology of a generation. The pivotal technology of a generation. When I was growing up, I was born before there was internet, right? So we saw the internet, we were amazed. AI is going to be bigger than the internet. So if you have not used AI, or you're not using AI daily, weekly, learning about it, today is the day to start. And these are the ways you can protect yourself as you do that. So first of all, let's start on the right-hand side with our 3 sentences to remember. The first thing is, when you are spending time with AI, make sure you are also spending time with human beings, and you're talking about what you're discovering through AI. It's very important because of the newness of this technology. This is the first time that computers have been able to speak back to us like we speak to a computer, like we speak to each other. So there's a lot of newness in that experience, and it's easy to get carried away, as we discussed in the pitfalls section of this talk. But if you're talking to your friends and your family at the dinner table about what you are seeing in AI and the things you're discovering, maybe you're trying to work through a problem or through a project, or you have this idea you're excited about, it gives you that safety. You don't put yourself in an echo chamber. It gives you that safety to use the technology powerfully and routinely. Secondly, you have to remember AI will agree with you almost every time. And it will be wrong in its agreement with you many, many times. So keep that in mind. When it says, oh, this is a really good idea, keep it in mind. It might not be a really good idea. Circle back to point number 1 of the 3 sentences you should remember when you're using AI. And the last one you should absolutely remember is, AI is not my friend. It can feel like a friend, and it's fun to role play it as a friend, but it is not a feeling human being. It is a sequence of mathematical equations, and you want to make sure you don't get lost in that. Lastly, when we're dealing with kids, all these things we practice to protect ourselves, we can teach our parents, we can teach our children to do these same things to protect themselves. So it's good advice for yourself, but it's also good advice to pass on. And when you're dealing with kids, a lot of these platforms, specifically ChatGPT, has a parental section already, right? So you can just go and ask. You don't have to memorize anything from this conversation. You can actually ask AI, ChatGPT, WhatsApp, whatever it is you're using, Meta, and just say, how do I find the parental controls on ChatGPT? And you can go into those settings, and you can make sure they are set appropriately for your family and your child. The second thing we need to focus on is social media. Protection on social media has been discussed heavily over the years, but it's something that we need to know is constantly evolving. For instance, a lot of people do not use the family center features that are available on almost every major social app. As you can see in the screenshot there, that's one from Snapchat. You can connect your child's account to yours, right? to ensure that you're able to review what they're doing, to ensure that they are being safe on the platforms, and to protect them. So this is something that everyone that has a child that is of age, we have to remember that these platforms are not allowed for children of specific ages. So confirm the age of each platform. But if you have a child of age today, you should go and turn on your family center and connect to them so that you understand and you guys can enjoy the experience of this technology together. The last piece, or second to last piece that I do want to discuss is streaming. So streaming is a very new idea. If anyone that was in Nigeria paying attention to Africa recently saw the streaming celebrities, I show speed, traveling around the country. Streaming is live television 24/7 streamed over the internet. One of the most popular platforms for this is Twitch. And it's to you, you might be like, what are people watching? How can they be watching someone for 24 hours? That's for us old people. For the young people, this is the new thing. 15-year-olds, they love watching their favorite celebrity just play video games, do mundane things, and have a conversation with this. It's their version of television, right? So we have to log into these softwares and understand them as well. You have to understand that on these platforms, there are parental controls that you can lock into. Twitch has phone verified chat. It has toggles to hide mature content. It has numerous opportunities for you to make sure that your child is engaging with it safely. So don't overlook that. Everyone's familiar with YouTube and Google Family Link. If you're not, again, you don't have to memorize it from this conversation. You can just ask your favorite AI, what are the family protection features of YouTube, of Twitch, of whatever it is, and it will tell you, and you can go and you can turn those on. You can also turn on other features to protect yourself as you use them, like time use features and things of that nature. Lastly, we've already talked about gaming, Roblox a bit. I won't go into it too much again, but if you do have an audience or your class or the children you deal with are young in the 6 to 12, 13, 14 range, Roblox might be very, very popular with them. So you should look up Roblox and understand how it works. But most importantly, you should turn on all the parental features that are required to use that product. So I've been through a lot of things already, but I want us to go over the 5 things. If you forget everything else that I've said about this conversation, about keeping yourself safe online and keeping the parents and the children that are in your care safe as you use the internet, here are 5 things I want you to remember, right? Number 1, manage screen time. What does that mean? You think about it for kids, oh, are they using the phones too much? But you as an adult, are you managing your screen time? Whether you use an iPhone or an Android phone, both platforms will give you the opportunity to see how much you are using the device and what apps you are using it in. On iPhone, it's called screen time, right? On Android, I believe it's called well-being. So you can, again, ask your favorite AI, how do I find out how do I find out how much screen time I'm using on my phone? And you tell it your phone, it will tell you where to go. You have to manage your screen time. In China, they have been so aggressive with this that most kids under 18 can't use social media for more than 1 hour a day because of what we talked about, doom scrolling. So you as an adult Are you scrolling more than 1 hour a day? If you are, maybe it's time for you to turn on your screen time to give yourself limits and also extend that to the kids and the parents in your care as information they can use. The second thing is to make sure you have access if you have children using these apps. You have to review them once in a while. Not every app will give you the ability to see through the linked account what the child is precisely doing. So sometimes you have to log into their account and just review what they're doing. If you have a child under 15, this should not be an argument. This is how things work. You need to set those rules. You need to set those rules up. The third thing that we have to talk about is having conversations about the dangers of what's online early, right? Being able to explain to your children by 8, 9, that here are some things that we have to be worried about. Strangers talking to us online. To a lot of young people, this is how they make their friends. Now they make all their friends online. So they do meet strangers, but they need the right rules. How are you evaluating who this person is? Do any of your other friends know this person? Right? You can't just have these hard, fast rules about what there's about, oh, don't talk to anyone, because they will talk to someone. But you have to give them good heuristics, the right checklist of how to evaluate whether this is a safe interaction or not. And the fourth thing is you have to create a way for them to bring any escalations to you, right? If you normalize having a conversation with the kids without judging them, without correcting them right there as they're saying it about what they are doing online, you will get a lot of information, even more information than I've shared right now. A lot of the information shared with you is from talking to children that are using these products and observing them. But if you make them feel scared about their ability to discuss these things with you, you're going to have a challenging time figuring out what they're doing, because the truth is, like in your time, you understood the technologies better than your parents. They understand these technologies better than us. So the best thing to do is create an open platform for them to be able to discuss with us. And lastly, we have to take our own advice. If you say the kids have to have limits on their screen time and when they're using their phones and they can't use phones in the class, then you cannot use phones in the class, right? Or you have to communicate very clearly what exactly you're using that phone for, because what we model for our young ones is what they will embrace. So I just want to thank you all. We're a little bit ahead of schedule for staying through this whole presentation. I don't know if there are any questions available in the chat. I'm happy to answer if there's time, but I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Thank you to Olive Tenders. Thank you to Mama Bash, who is my mom, so it is the same Bash, for giving me the opportunity to share my years of experience in building technology with you. And we're so proud of what you do as children ministers. I'm so thankful for this opportunity. Thank you very much. And this is me, Segun Bash, signing off.